Okay, so today I just want to take a look at the Darkbase Pro 900 from Be Quiet. I've been using this case for about 8 months now, so I've had some time to get some hands-on use out of it. I've done two different builds in this case so far. I've opened up a ton of times to add and take out hard drives, to add SSDs, new graphics cards, a whole bunch of stuff. So I've used it quite a bit. So with the new version coming out, it was just announced last week. I just wanted to take a look at the case that I have, the original Darkbase Pro 900, and see if what they're doing is enough to justify the price of this case. So with the new version of the case, it comes with a power supply shroud, which my case did not come with. I've got one in there from V1 Tech, but that's something that I had to buy for an extra like $45 on top of the $200 that I paid for the case. It also comes with some hard drive bay covers so that the drive slots that you don't occupy can be covered up with this little plastic piece to make it look nice. Right now when you look through the case, it looks straight at the back panel rather than anything else, so it's just open holes. So part of the second version of this case is that they added a black strip along the perimeter of the glass panel so that you can't see the bare metal frame and all the holes in it. All of those things are really solid, and I think that adds a lot to the case because I think it just adds a little bit more polish than my version of the case has. I thought it was just ridiculous that it didn't come with a power supply shroud, and I thought it wouldn't be a big deal. I've got a fully modular power supply, so I thought I can just use only the cables that I need, and I don't have to worry about having a whole bunch of cables hanging out. But the fact is that I've got a whole bunch of the cables plugged in. I've got 2 for my GPU, the 8-pin EPS, 24-pin, 2 different SATA power cables. There's a whole bunch of things plugged in my power supply, and without the power supply shroud, it looked pretty bad even with a fully modular power supply. So I had to go out and spend like $45 on a V1 Tech full-length PSU shroud, and it's okay. It comes with a grommet hole so you can route your GPU power cables pretty easly, but it's very basic. It's just a piece of plastic that's bent in a 90-degree, and there's nothing securing it to the case as well, so you kind of just wedge it in there and then close the case and don't breathe on it too much. And it works, but I think when they release their power supply shroud as an accessory for their new case, I think I'll end up buying it and tossing in this one, as long as it's not like $100. So what are the drawbacks of this case? Well, I think unless you're a really heavy overclocker, I think that you'll end up with a lot of empty or wasted space in this case. Airplane flying by. So unless you're a really heavy overclocker that's also into custom water loops, I think that you should look elsewhere, because right now I've got a lot of open space. I only have 3 hard drives mounted at the top. I took out the optical drive caddy or bay area because I didn't need one. And even with my V1 Tech shroud, an N60 Hue Plus, and 3 hard drives, there's still a lot of empty, open real estate at the front of the case. And not only that, not only just how it looks, but this case doesn't have the best airflow. They've got this plastic baffling along on the inside of the mesh on every side, which helps make it quieter so that you don't hear it when it's under load, but it does increase temps because that air can't get in as easily and it can't get out. So I've got my rad set to exhaust out the top. The top is almost fully sealed. There's only like a 2-inch section where there's some 45-degree vents, but besides that, it has to exhaust out the side here. And as you can see, I've been running AIDA64 for about 22 minutes, and I'm seeing peak temps of 88 degrees. So I've got a 280 millimeter AIO from EVGA, it's the CLC 280. I've got a very aggressive fan profile, and my CPU is a 4790K, only clocked at 4.4 gigahertz. So it's not an extreme overclock. It's a warm chip, but it's nothing crazy. It's not like an A700K or something where I'm trying to get a 5 gigahertz overclock. And I'm already seeing temps of almost 90 degrees. So when I render videos, I have to open up the front panel and even take off the glass side panel because I need the extra airflow. I do plan to eventually take off the side panels and then use like a Dremel to take off that plastic baffling. I saw like some guys do that on Reddit, and their temps dropped by almost like 8 to 10 degrees, which is a very drastic change for something that's so simple. I also don't like that the front panel isn't secured by anything. So to open it, you just press it in and it pops out, and you can open it, and to close it, you just do the same thing in reverse. But there's no magnet in there because the front panel is not steel, so it's not magnetic. So when I move the case to work on it, I move it to like my table over there to tinker with it, and the front panel's like flopping around everywhere because there's nothing securing it. There's no latch mechanism, and they did that for a reason. It's so that you can change the hinge to be on, let's say, the left side here, so that it swings out towards the left. So that if you invert the motherboard tray, you can still open it correctly. You don't have it, backwards. So it makes sense in that aspect, but they could have added like a magnet or something that threads in at the corner and glued on like another magnet on the inside of the panel so that it stays closed. I think that would just make sense. They opted not to do that, which I think is pretty crappy. Like I said, the no PSU shroud was almost a deal breaker for me because I was really concerned about that when I was buying the case. I really like how customizable the case is. Within the next week, I'm probably going to drop my motherboard tray down 1 or 2 notches so that I can put the radiator on the inside of the case rather than on the outside of the frame, but inside of the top panel. I think that will help with temps a little bit. I really like that they have the case standing so high off of the whatever surface that it's sitting on, because you can actually mount fans at the bottom as intakes and get some extra airflow in that way as well. So if I hadn't bought this case and I was in the market again to buy, I probably would actually not buy this case. I would like to do some custom water loops in this case, and I think that'd be really cool. It supports a 420 on top and a 420 in the front. I think with that setup, with push-pull fans set to like really low speed, I think you could get a really quiet but a really cool computer out of it. And I think I may do that eventually because I already have it. If I had to do it again, I would probably end up getting a case like the Meshify C, like my wife has, or even like the Darkbase 700 from Be Quiet. It's a mid-tower instead of a full tower ATX. It doesn't support 5¼ inch bays, but I don't care because I took mine out anyways. It has some extra RGB lights. It comes with a PSU shroud installed. It covers up the holes along the frame for the glass panel to hide that. It's just more polished and it's cheaper. It's like $75 cheaper than the Darkbase Pro 900. So I think that would be perfect for me because I could optimize my case and my setup for that a little bit more and not have so much dead, like empty space in my case. Now with all the upgrades that they've done with the Darkbase Pro 900 on the second version that they announced this last week, I think it makes it a little bit more compelling because you get all the features that you would expect out of a $250 case, like a power supply shroud and the plastic covers for the hard drives and stuff. And while those may seem gimmicky or I guess silly for some, I think just the option of having those helps a lot to justify the price because you get more for your money. You get the same case just with more. At a suggested retail price of $250 US, I think it's just this version of the case was too much. So using a couple of deals on Groupon and Ebates, I got my case after everything was all said and done for about $180. I think for that price, it's a really solid case, and I would recommend it. But seeing how the case market has evolved even in the last year, I think this case as it is now doesn't warrant the price that they're asking. So it looks like our temps have stabilized. I've had Ada 64 running for about 30 minutes now, and the max temp is still 88 degrees. So it hasn't come up any higher, but that's still way warmer than I would like it to be. It would have been nice to see them include a Type-C plug at the front as well. The Darkbase 700 includes one. It came out after the Darkbase Pro 900, so maybe that's why. But it would have been nice to see that on the original version of this case. I also really enjoy how they added the built-in fan controller. It sounds like they've upgraded it for the revised version of the case, so it includes more connectors for up to 8 fans now, which is really cool to see because this case supports a lot of fans, and not being able to populate every spot in the case on the fan hub doesn't really make sense to me, because why include them and a fan controller if you can't connect all of them that way? So overall, I have actually been really impressed with the case. I think I got a pretty good deal on it. And under normal use, like gaming and stuff, my CPU temps don't usually go above 40 degrees. It's only when I do like actual benchmarking or stress testing or rendering that I see those really high temps. And in those rare cases, I just open up the front panel, take out the side panel, and then the temps are okay. Now, should I have to do that whenever I want to render a video? Probably not. I definitely wouldn't have to on a case like the Mesh FIC, where the whole front panel is just mesh, and the top is open, and the back is open, and everything's open. But I wanted a quiet case, and that's what I got. I got a pretty quiet case. If you like this video and you thought it was helpful, please scroll down, hit subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. I've talked about games like Undertale, I've done a budget home theater PC build, and I've done unboxings on things like the 1080 that you see in this case. So thanks for watching.